How's it going? My name is Brian Alexander Prince. I'm known for many things, but the thing that people tend to know me for or ask me about is that I played the role of the fugitive predator in the movie The Predator in 2018. It was a fun time. It was a crazy time. It was a very enjoyable and grueling experience at the same exact time, and it was one of the most fulfilling and hardest things I've ever done in my entire life. I am a Navas brand ambassador, and they were so kind to reach out to me and ask me a series of questions for a blog or vlog, I guess, in this case. And I figured, yeah, why not? Let's answer some questions. First up, what was your funniest experience on set, and was it tall related? It's funny, there's a lot of jokes in the movie, and yet I'm having such a hard time thinking, what was the funniest thing that happened? I don't know. I think for me, there was one day where we were having technical difficulties, and so everybody on set was kind of just chilling and waiting for something to happen. And I was suited up as the emissary predator, the pink one. Unfortunately, didn't make it to the final cut, but yeah. And yeah, we were just killing time, and I just couldn't sit around any longer because there's something about being in this suit where you look like this creature, you look like this living thing, but inside I'm like just holding it together. I'm like trying to hold everything up and breathe and everything whatnot, and I don't want to go through the whole process of taking everything off or whatnot because, you know, who knows how much time we have. I just kind of got up and started like dancing around. I had this kind of funny split personality when I was on set where if I was out of the suit, I was pretty stoic. I'd be sitting there like this. And then when I was in the suit, I was kind of goofy. Like I would either be like serious and in character, or I'd be like kind of goofy and messing with people. And I remember one of the PAs asked me that. They're like, "You're completely different when you're in the suit. You're a lot more playful." And I was like, "Yeah, I have to be," because it was like one of the only ways I can kind of just keep my mind off of like all of the weight that I was carrying and whatnot. I was just kind of dancing around on set, and I remember Shane Black had his phone on me and he was like recording me dancing. So that, or I'd be like a goof. I'd like look at the camera, like I'd look right at the lens and stuff with my big old predator face and move around, and it would follow me. So those are fun moments. Those were good. Question 2. What's it like wearing those costumes? Is it true you can't go to the bathroom? Dang, yeah, it's something. The costumes themselves are about 75 to 80 pounds, I think, all over the body. Like it's not just in one place. I got a head on, body, hands, feet. The weight is just distributed everywhere. And not only that, but it's a giant glove, so I'm getting really hot. Like the moment I move, like if I do one movement, I can feel this like flush of sweat happening. I'm like, all right. So by like, you know, at least an hour in, probably sooner, but definitely like by an hour in, I'm just soaked. I'm covered in sweat inside this suit, and once the head goes on, I can't really breathe very clearly, and then I have these big old contact lenses in, so I can't even see very clearly. If I had on the battle mask, if I had on this thing, this is a replica made by an amazing cosplayer that goes by Air Predator, but the original mask, the lenses here would fog up almost immediately. And so I was pretty much blind. So any scene you see, especially the one where I'm grabbing the lead, Boyd Holbrook, when I'm grabbing him by the neck and throwing him against the wall, that was terrifying because they're like, "Hey, you're gonna grab the lead by the throat." And I'm like, okay, that's cool. That's fine. I can do that. And then of course my stunt coordinator, Marnie Eng, is an amazing stunt performer and coordinator. She had to remind me like 80 times, like, "Brian, don't hit Boyd in the face. But like seriously, don't hit Boyd in the face." And I was like, "Okay, got it." And she's like, "Okay, but don't hit him in the face." And I was like, "Okay, got it." And I was like, please keep telling me because I do not want to hit him in the face. But yeah, so it's just like a lot of sensory deprivation, a lot of having to really rely on a lot of my parkour senses to move around, which might sound corny, but it's the realest way I can put it. Is it true you can't go to the bathroom? Yes. Like I definitely could. It just wouldn't be a great day. No, like I had to get used to it. If I had to take a leak, we're talking like 20 minutes. I had to get my hands free, and then there was a few zippers. If I had to drop a deuce, that's a day. That's, you know, get me out of the suit. There was only once where that happened. Like, it was like after lunch where I was like, "Yo, I gotta go." Luckily that didn't happen too often. Good question. Number 3. Tell us about your most challenging day. Oh man, that's tough. That's tougher than the first question. There were a lot of challenging days. There was running, fighting, just like getting used to the suit in general, like getting used to like the being hot and sweaty and weighed down. But honestly, okay, yeah. If I had to think of my most challenging day, the day where we filmed, it's this like short bit in the movie. Fugitive Predator swings into the back of a covered like wagon, Jeep, truck, and I just eviscerate 6 guys inside the truck. I remember from day one being like, I think I'm gonna be too big for this truck. And everyone was like, we'll figure it out. I was like, yeah, we'll figure it out. And then we get to the day and I'm like, I'm too big for this truck. And because it's like, I'm 6'10" with the head on. I'm over 7 feet tall. I'm big in this thing. And I'm in the back of this truck trying to fight these soldiers, and it just wasn't happening. That was the most challenging day. It was 12-hour shoot at night. It's a 12-hour night shoot. And because I was in the truck, I had to like squat the whole time while fighting, and it was just so much work on my lower back. We did it. We did the scene, and it's just funny because there's so many things we filmed that night that didn't even make it to the cut. And it's also funny because it was like a 6 to 8, maybe 10-second scene. So it's one of those things that you're like, that was the most grueling 12 hours of my life. And then you look back at film, you're like, cool, that was great 10 seconds, but still worth it because it came out really well. Much props to the stunt guys that I worked with on that scene. They were freaking awesome. They did their part so well, especially I can't remember his name. Oh man, but like homie who got whipped out of the truck. You know who you are, but the first guy that I hit, he flies out of the truck. It was awesome. Yeah, I remember that day, like, or at the end of that shoot, they like took my head off. I must have looked terrible because they were like, somebody drive him home, please. So that was definitely, I think, the most challenging day. Question 4, how did you prepare for such a physically demanding role? I don't know. I do a lot of parkour, so I kept up the parkour training. I did a lot of studying of creature movement and just like studying like Kevin Peter Hall and some Doug Jones and just some actors who do a lot of creature stuff just so I can kind of figure out how to get into that like monster vibe. On my own, I was doing a lot of strength training and endurance stuff, but definitely nothing prepared me for it. Month 1 of being in Vancouver for the shoot was prep time. There was a point where they had me in like a weighted vest, a wetsuit, and I would walk around set with all that on, and it was just awful, but such a good thing for me to have gone through. So once again, props to the stunt team for prepping me for that, because I wouldn't have done that on my own, but it was totally necessary. The wetsuit is probably the answer to that question. Wearing a wetsuit around set for 6 to 8 hours a day, definitely. Question 5, at the end of the day, what was your go-to meal and or drink? Oh, interesting. So at the end of my day, being on set, breakfast is provided, lunch is provided, and there's some snacks in there. If I was suited up, I wouldn't eat too much. 1, I didn't have to use the bathroom. 2, a lot of the days I had the stunt harness on, it's not great. It's not comfortable. It's not supposed to be. Anytime you see a stunt where I'm thrown across a yard or another stunt performer's flying, like in the lab scene where I'm hitting soldiers and they're flying against the wall, or I'm throwing scientists, they're on a wire. And so in order for that wire to be connected to the body, you're wearing this stunt harness. It's tight. It's got to be on there tight. For other roles that I've done where I've done wire stuff, I could just like pop it loose if it got too bad. But with Predator, because it was this giant suit, I couldn't. I just had to wear it all day underneath the suit, and it was terrible. The reason I mention that is because since I was wearing that, I just like didn't want to eat much, and I didn't want to drink much either. I will say this. So when I got home, or when I got back to my hotel, I would get some food. I just wore this heavy suit. 11 of the pounds were right here in the back of the head because that's where these little servo motors were that made the head talk. It was heavy and I was tired. I just burned all the calories. So when I got home, I was like, I'm not trying to eat healthy. I'm gonna eat what makes me feel good. So honestly, at the end of the night, the 2 things that I would eat is I would go get 20 nuggets from McDonald's and I would eat them in 5 seconds, or I would go to this awesome little place I'm gonna give a shout out to called Mean Poutine, and I would get me some fried chicken poutine. I'm trying to get fat and pass out because I'm tired and I just worked for 15 hours. Number 6, do you have any advice for aspiring actors? That's such a hard question for me to answer because I never aspired to be an actor. And I got lucky and things just kind of came my way. I love doing parkour. I've been doing parkour for 12 years and living in Atlanta. I live in Seattle now, but I used to live in Atlanta since I was 7 years old. And living in Atlanta, I got lucky, and there was just a huge film boom there. They filmed a lot of movies there, like Marvel movies, Halle Berry, everything else. Things aligned for me. But I guess if there is any advice I can say is do what you love. I know that's such a corny thing. It's overused. People say, oh, do what you love, do what makes you happy. But like, no, seriously. So I'm 6'10", I do parkour. I could do flips, running jumps, vaults, all that stuff. If you asked me 12 years ago if I was able to do that, I'd be like, no, it's impossible. But luckily at the time I was a mixture of hard-headed. I thought it looked really freaking cool, so I wanted to do it. I never in my life would have imagined parkour would have led to anything, let alone playing parts in movies. And I couldn't have planned that. But the one thing that I could give people advice on that is like, do what's fulfilling, do what feels right for you, especially if you stand out doing it. If you're thinking, I'm not gonna do this thing because I'm gonna be the only person that looks like me doing it, definitely do it. Absolutely do it. Stand out. Like, be proud of yourself. Love yourself. Follow your gut. Like, you know it feels right. You know when you're doing something that energizes you, and you know when you're doing something that like really like fills your tank. Do that. Don't do the shoulds. Don't should yourself. Life's too short for shoulds at all, or too many shoulds. There's some we have to do. I should pay my taxes. You know, I should pay my rent. Obviously. When it comes to your career and your passion, do something that feels good. Unless you're being paid a lot of money for it. That's my trade. If I'm gonna hate doing this thing, it better pay me a lot. If it doesn't pay me a lot and I love it, good trade. Number 7, last question. What are you working on now? A whole lot of nothing, because it's COVID America. Sorry, that was too real of an answer, but like, what do you want me to say? What do you want me to say? It's tough for so many people right now. Actually, I'm gonna use this question to give like a shout out to everybody struggling. Man, like this is an unprecedented time in American and world history. If you're struggling right now, you're not alone, and it's hard and it sucks. And don't try to pretend it doesn't. There's no shame in just having a day and being like, this is hard. And if you are having that day, I hope you have somebody that you can go to that lets you have that. There's this thing that bothers me about like social media world where there's this like toxic positivity going on where people just want to be like, oh, everything's great, everything's awesome, everything's so great. No, it's not great and it's not awesome. And that's fine. It's not the worst either. I think now more than ever, it's really important, like your feelings are valid. Your actions based on those feelings might not be valid, but your feelings are valid. If you're angry right now, if you're sad, if you are trying to make it through, like that's legit. That's where you're at. What am I working on now? As far as film goes, not much. My personal life, a lot. I got a lot of personal projects going on. I'm doing some art stuff on the side. I'm teaching parkour again, and I'm loving that. Trying to enjoy the days with the people that I love and enjoy the time that I have here. More than ever, I feel a lot more present and grateful just to like be able to go on my morning walks or have a coffee or talk to people that want to ask me questions. What am I working on now? Gratitude. I know that's not the answer you're looking for, but that's it. I'm working on gratitude, self-love, being more present in my life. That was it. Those are all the questions. Big shout out to Navas Lab. Well, this amazing shirt came from their collection. As a 6 foot tall male, it is so nice to have sleeves that fit. I don't even know what that's like. So I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for the awesome gear. Yeah, thanks so much for watching. For those of you who are still here watching at the end, I love you. You're great. Send me an email. Say what's up. Let me know if you got any more Predator questions. And if you like this whole Q&A thing, maybe I'll do more. Be safe, be well, love yourself. Don't let other people bring you down. Be somebody that makes you happy. And then hopefully find other people that keep that going. Peace and love. Bye.